I'm releasing a video in a time span shorter than 3 months, that's right, I'm treating you today. Have you ever wanted to look better, be more aesthetically attractive? Who am I kidding? You watch my videos, of course you do. But don't worry, your ship may have sailed around the same time as Noah's Ark, but your child could be spared. At least that's what it seems like with the new invention of designer babies. Now, I'd like to preface this by saying that I am by no means a medical professional. I'm just a random guy on YouTube who takes too long to get a single video out. This concept primarily revolves around the process of gene editing, which is basically when you take a fetus and change its genetic makeup in order to go and cause for some form of tangible change. This can range from changing the child's hair color to going and removing harmful genetic conditions. Now, when the only changes that are made are in regards to aesthetic attractiveness, the baby is called a designer baby. All of this is achieved by altering the genetic material of either the sperm, the egg, or the embryo itself during the process of in vitro fertilization. This is all to change the child's genes. Now, there are two ways in which you can do this: pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, also known as PGD, or CRISPR. PGD basically works by taking cells from embryos and examining them to see which one works the best for you. Like going and taking 3 cells from an embryo, seeing one has sickle cell anemia, and putting that one aside, using one of the other 2. It's generally a far safer process than CRISPR, as you're just selecting cells instead of changing their DNA. The second process is called CRISPR. CRISPR involves editing the genetic material of the cells, and is generally far more dangerous. If you alter someone's cell to root a disease, then you could be setting them up for some more genetic disorders down the line. And because you're messing with the genetic code, that could affect their descendants down the line. So all in all, it has a massive effect that needs to be accounted for. What allows for you to have a child with more muscle mass, or to change their eye color, or any other thing that isn't controlled by the alleles in the body. The way the genetic material of the cells gets changed is actually not that complex. Basically, there are spacer cells, which are made from either the DNA of the virus that is afflicting the patient, or made from the DNA of the trait that one wants to change. Due to the fact that the spacer cells are basically just DNA of the virus/trait, they can be processed into RNA of that virus/trait. This RNA can be used by a secret protein called Cas9, which scans the DNA, see if it finds any RNA match, and then if it does, it cuts out that section of DNA which matches with RNA. This means that we can remove any form of genetic disease, but it also causes for the creation of designer babies, because you can go ahead and cut out the trait and then replace it with another one. Now, this can be used to get rid of genetic disorders, such as cystic fibrosis or sickle cell anemia, and it's completely understandable why you'd want your child to be born without those traits. It makes it harder for them to survive. However, because we're dealing with humans, this is obviously going to be exploitive. Some of the uber rich have already lined up to pass down their mediocre genes, and because I know this is going to come up, there is no such thing as an IQ gene or a musical gene. Just because your parents can create good pots does not mean that you can go make anything besides disfigured ducks. While some say that there's nothing wrong with wanting your child to look good, some say it's a display of the parent's shallowness. And this is a debate I'm going to slightly dip my toes into because I need engagement and content. A massive part of this debate is on whether nature knows best. If one can prevent cancer and several other fatal conditions, who are we to assign a negative connotation simply because the process that saves them is unnatural? Or should we focus on the millions of other lives saved due to this treatment? The thing is that the argument isn't as cookie cutter simple as you might think. Once you open the door to genetic change, that door stays open and leaves several different problems. Hypothetically, I could alter my kid's physical features in order to keep up with the current trend. However, this trait would last upon generations. This would be uniquely terrible, as trends die quick and you're affecting generations upon generations of your descendants. Now, this technology is new, but due to its effects, I assume it's going to be getting a lot of funding by the scientific community, and therefore we should probably be on the lookout for it getting popularized later on. If that happens, it could have some interesting consequences on society. Right now, it seems to be reserved for the extremely rich, due to its unbelievable pricing, $20,000 for one attempt. If this became normalized, there could be a race of extremely rich humans who are also incredibly beautiful, and also have around 9 different genetic disorders, while the rest of humanity has to remain rolling the dice of genetics. But that's as far as I'm willing to dive into this horrifying rabbit hole. So that's it from me. I don't know, see you in the next video, I guess, whenever that comes out.